Any chance you can hear me on there? How do I sound? Okay, that's what I want to hear.
I'm here. What? I don't think I can hear you. Okay, am I okay now? Okay. I'll have to what? No, it just says host disabled participant screen sharing. Okay, I don't need to screen share. Okay, is that okay now? Can you hear me? No, I can't hear you guys. No, I heard you laugh. Okay. Okay, well, you know what? You know what? It'll be better if you can hear me. Haven't you always wanted to go to a meeting where you couldn't hear me? Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Bye.
I am just doing a testing, 1, 2, 3, 4. Can you hear me? I can hear me. Yep.
I can hear you.
I don't know why mine is off and then.
Test, test.
All right, folks, are we ready?
Can you hear me?
Yes, Beth. Hello, how you doing?
Hi. Doing great. I'm missing y'all.
Aw. Well, we're just glad you're on the mend, girl.
Hey, thank you.
Right. I'm going ahead and calling this board meeting to order, Garden City Community College November Board of Trustees meeting. Thank you, everybody, for attending tonight. I have a few comments to share with you. So first of all, we learned that the men's and women's cross-country teams are leaving Wednesday, November 10th to compete in the national cross-country meet in Virginia. Our men's team is currently ranked 11th nationally, and our women's team is ranked 16th. So good luck to those men and women. Just a reminder to us and the audience, on Friday, November 12th at 9 o'clock, Lieutenant Colonel Brian Meade from the United States Marine Corps Reserve will be at the Dennis Perriman Athletic Complex delivering a brief in honor of Veterans Day. This event is open to the public, as well as our students, faculty, and staff. Please attend if you can. You have anything else? Really? And like, all right, one more little note. President Ruda has represented Garden City Community College in an excellent fashion. He presented at the Kansas State University Conference on STEM students, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. His topic was the impact of COVID-19 on the improvement and retention of underrepresented students. So that's quite an honor to speak at a level of that conference. So thank you for doing that. He has also been asked to be a presenter for HLC, which is the Higher Learning Commission, on a webinar series about financial sustainability measures. This is a favorable opportunity for us to promote GCC working collaboratively with HLC, and we really appreciate you accepting that offer as well. His part in this series will be available later in the spring. There is a web page that talks about the COVID situation on campus. Right now, there's 3 active students, I should say. They're still doing a good job of managing that. So I'm really proud of them. All right. Second on our agenda is a report from SGA.
Hello? Oh, that's better. Thank you. Good evening. My name is Julie Calsnetti, and I am the Public Relations Representative for SGA. It's the student government at the college. And you already were given a packet with a few of these flyers with information about SGA, but I'm just gonna touch base and go over a few things that we wanted to point out and let you know about. So to start off, we have the debate team. Our debate team has been inactive for the past couple of years. And so they're starting their competition again very soon this year. And it's going to be virtual due to COVID-19, but it is a big deal that they're starting their competition up again. And the main one with all the keys, if you're looking at it, it's this one. And it was actually accidentally sent out. We had 2 different versions. One was the unedited one and one was not. I believe the unedited one accidentally got sent out. So there's a few things that I might say to adjust, but where it says meets team, that's actually what they mean, the ag department. And they have been doing lots of events around the community and helping out. And so one of the main things is that they made 20,800 burgers for the upcoming rodeo that's going on, when the rodeo team is hosting this year. And some other student events is criminal justice has been doing a lot also. And one of their main things coming up is they're helping and participating in the Veterans Day Parade. Also to point out, the GC3 media team is, they just launched their radio show. It's, if you ever want to tune in and listen, it's at gcmedia.net. Moving on, we have the Christmas Cupboard coming up since the holidays are right around the corner. All of the clubs and organizations on campus are doing a competition against each other to see who can bring in the most canned goods or essentials and dry food to donate to our campus closet, and whichever club or organization can gather the most essentials, they get a $300 prize for their club. And this green sheet with the ornament on it that says giving back, that's just kind of a little PR piece to let you know of all of the different clubs and organizations on campus that are doing activities for the holidays and giving back in some way. And lastly, we have our Garden City app. SGA has decided that we are going to create a contest for renaming our app. We thought it might be a little plain and bland. It's just named Garden City. And so we made a contest with a $500 prize. Anyone is able to submit a name that they would suggest for the app, and that will be being renamed once we decide a winner. So I believe that's all I have. And let me know if you have any questions.
Yeah, Jill, tell me about the app. What is that about?
So the app is our online database, I guess you could say, that all the students use. We log into it every day to clock in for study hall if you're an athlete, or you check in, you do your COVID surveys every day on it. So it's a daily useful app. And I mean, I feel like we've had it for quite a while, and it's just needing a little bit of a new sparkle to it, I guess you could say.
Refresh.
Yes. Anything else?
Questions? Awesome. Thank you. You guys
Thank
got
you.
a lot going on.
Yes, thank you.
All right, introduction of new employees. We have none? Okay. That's easy. All right, next is our consent agenda. Take a look at that and see if there's any concerns or items that need to be pulled.
Madam Chair, new batteries. Madam Chair, I'd ask that we pull item D for further discussion.
Any other items to be pulled? If not, I need a motion to approve.
Madam Chair, I move to approve consent agenda A, B, and C.
I'll second it.
All right, I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda items A, B, and C. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you. Opposed? All right, items A, B, C carry. Item D.
Yeah, Madam Chair, and this is just more for further clarification and maybe a little bit more for public knowledge, but you know, with most contracts, and Dr. Ruda, hopefully you can kind of explain some of this, but most contracts aren't really looked at by the board or are taken in consideration. But I feel like this one is a little different, being the fact that legal representation is not only for the college, but also for the board itself. And I get from the background information that, you know, the firms that submitted, which I believe there were two, was evaluated on a certain criteria formulated and not solely on a base of price. And we've had discussions about this in the past, but I was just kind of curious for sake to the public and to the board themselves. For my comfort and maybe the rest of the board, I think.
Y'all are doing, but number one, as I went through this, the law firm that we hire, that we retain, is a law firm for the board as well as the college. And I was going through this and it says attended meet with the GCCC administration. I'd like to know why members of the board weren't invited to be part of that. I guess I'd like some clarification, because as far as I'm concerned, the law firm represents this board, and this board has a lot of things happening and right now have happening to individual members. And I want to make sure that they are protected. And I'd like to have a little more understanding of why our input didn't go into this.
Happy to answer all the questions, just starting with Dr. Wassinger. You know, as far as the process that was utilized, you know, we did go through a very transparent process there as far as a request for proposals that was sent locally as well as regionally to be able to discern interested parties. From that RFP, we did ask for a mandatory proposal meeting to be able to come in and talk through essentially what it is that the services expected, expectations, but also being able to answer questions specific that each of the firms may have. At that pre-proposal meeting, we did have 4 firms that attended the mandatory meeting. From that, we did have about a week's turnaround time from that pre-bid meeting, pre-proposal meeting, to when we accepted applications. So from the 4 firms that attended, there were 2 that ended up going ahead and completing the application. You know, within the application, that we were very specific as far as looking for firms that had several different aspects. We weren't doing this on a zero-sum fund as far as what the hourly basis is. We were looking for representation that had municipal experience. Municipal experience is important, what it is that we have represented here at the college. The other aspects were really being able to have the individual speak to redundancy, to where we had firms that had multiple partners, or would be able to answer how it is that redundancy would be able to be addressed, so that we can ensure that whether it's 7 o'clock in the morning and we have questions, or it's 10 o'clock in the evening, that we have answers to that redundancy. Not everything happens during standard office hours of 8 to 4:30. So, you know, those are several of the things that we wanted to clarify and we asked to be addressed within the proposals. From the 2 firms that submitted applications, we had one local firm, Boers Law, represented by Laura Boers. And then we also had Tate and Kitsky, who is represented and based in Hugoton, Kansas. as we went through and looked at this administratively, and Leonard, this may be part of where it is that I answer your question. You know, the reason why board members were not included in this process wasn't to be exclusionary, but felt like that as the board has directed me to be able to bring back recommendations, that this would be the time for feedback, and this would be the time for questions where we can have that dialogue. You know, it's not to be able to keep board members out of those conversations, but I feel like that this is where those conversations happen, that we bring the recommendations, and if there are decisions and directives from the board, then we can have those conversations here. So, you know, I really liken it to anything that we do on a contractual basis with architects, anything that we do there with buildings, to where we're bringing recommendations, and then we can have discussions on whether that recommendation is accepted, or we need to go back to the drawing board and bring back additional recommendations and input for the board to consider. So that was really our intent and purpose behind it. But going back to, you know, your question, Blake, the decision and the recommendation that we are bringing forward to the board, you know, as we took a look at the two firms that submitted recommendations, quite clearly, Tate & Kitsky has a breadth of municipal experience, not only in school law, they represent several school districts, but they also represent municipalities in Hugoton and Liberal. They also represent a special education cooperative that's based out of Ulysses. They also represent Pioneer Electric. So there is a breadth of experience that they have, as we did reference checks and talked to individuals, references that they provided to us and others. It's quite clear that the representation that's provided by Tate & Kitsky meets and exceeds what it is I feel like we're looking for in our legal counsel. Tonight, we also do have Paul Kitsky, who's a partner with Tate & Kitsky, with us. If there's specific questions that the board might have for him or his firm. But, you know, from our recommendation and really feeling like this was a very thorough process and how we went about it, and we can question thorough as far as only having 2 applications or proposals that were received. But we were thorough in how it is that we disseminated this information and how we went about being able to go through the pre-proposal to the acceptance of proposals from this. And I feel very confident in the recommendation and the selection of Tate & Kitsky to represent based upon the references and their background that they bring.
I can understand what you're telling me. This law firm represents the board as well as everybody here. I just feel like, from my perspective and my perspective alone, I have not discussed this with anyone else. I feel like it had gone around us. And I don't know that I like being in a situation where it goes around us. And I understand, I have confidence, Ryan, in you. I have confidence in your whole staff. It's just that I don't ever want to see us get in a position where we don't really feel like we have the opportunity to have the input that you all are making the decisions from. I trust your decision making, but I think as a board member and being an active board member, we need to be involved in some of these issues before a recommendation is brought to us. I would prefer, having been involved in some of the conversations that went on before the recommendation was brought. I probably would bring this, and well, I'll tell you right now, I'll support that recommendation that you're making. But I just don't want to feel like somewhere along the line, we've had enough. Somewhere along the line of going around the board. That's my only opinion.
I appreciate what you're saying, that the participation is crucial to being represented legally. But I would remind you that in September, we did talk about the proposal with the request for proposal, and we talked specifically about the qualifications that were included in there. And I don't recall anybody disagreeing with that. So we made it a point to say that that was probably the most important part of the qualification request, was the experience in municipality and educational law. So, but we did have a chance of input.
Not when they had the meeting and met with the people. You get a lot out when you sit there talking to those who are applicants. You get a lot out of what they have to say. It's back to the old thing that two heads are better than one.
Yeah, and, you know, I think the other thing that I would say to that point there though as well is this is an annual contract. So the body of work, and truly the body of work, will not be known until we see work in action. You know, so it's less about it, from my opinion, it's less about lip service saying what it is you can provide. It's more about the body of work to say and show what it is that can be provided. And I don't know that we really get the ability to see that until we see an individual or a firm in action. And then we evaluate it to determine if that's the contract on an annual basis that we want to renew or take it back out for bid.
And when I was looking at this, I had to balance somewhere, and I'm not real sure I come up with the balance in the fact that you're the president, you're the CEO, and we've delegated to you the responsibilities of managing the college. And I had to question in my own mind, am I getting into something that is interfering with your ability as being the president? But at the other side, am I not doing my responsibility to this board by saying, I'd like to be a little more involved in the preliminaries as they are discussed by the applicants and having an opportunity. I know a lot of the applicants, I know the people. And I don't want you to take this as a criticism, because I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying in the future, I would hope that we'd have the opportunity when that group meets, if it's something that is involving us as the board, to have a little input and a little hearsay on that, being able to sit and listen to some of these things.
Oh, I can respect that. You know, I think it is a balance between the means and the ends. It's a balance between what it is decisions and absolutely I serve at the pleasure of the board. So if there's input or there's directive or things that we need to look at there differently, processes, protocols, you know, I am open ears to how it is that we make these processes and these decisions as open and transparent as we can, and being able to have the input from all of these within it. So, you know, I think that's the part of balancing the means and ends aspect of all of this.
I appreciate your response. Like I said, for clarity's sakes, and this is kind of uncharted territory because we haven't, quite honestly, went and seeked a professional service like this for, certainly not since I've been on the board, but for years. And I think it is a unique situation, and I will kind of resonate with Leonard, but again, I have no reason to believe that this recommendation is anything less. And quite honestly, as a board, we're using your judgment on those things. So, you know, again, I think you said it best is we can take a recommendation, and a year from now, we'll know whether we continue down that route or not. And so I just, for sake of, for public and word to the public and everything like that, I just want a little clarification, and I'm happy with the response given. Thank you.
I know on my aspect, working in municipality for the city for 20+ years, that those are two different types of legal services that need to be considered. The experience, there's so much difference between that and criminal and civil. So I'm just happy that we took that into major consideration.
So we still have item D.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the recommendation from Dr. Ruda and appoint Tate & Kitsky LLC on a 1-year period as legal representation for the college.
I'll second.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to accept item D, the recommendation from Dr. Buda, appointing Tate and Kitsky as legal representation for Garden City Community College. Any other discussion?
Did we have Mr. Kitsky speak to us or tell us what his firm can provide?
Mr. Kitsky, would you like to address the board? Introduce us, introduce yourself.
Thank you. And I can speak loud. Oh, okay. I guess, is it amplified? Okay, I'll speak up. Well, thank you for the recommendation, and I guess I can speak a little bit further about the process. You know, we were invited once it was made public that you were looking for new counsel. We obviously work in a small bar in Southwest Kansas, and so when attorneys retire or attorneys change positions, you hear about that, and everybody kind of knows who represents who. And so when it became public that Mr. Grizel was going to retire, then obviously we knew that you would be looking for new counsel. And so a meeting was held. I attended the meeting. We were given items to deal with on the proposal, submit the proposal, and then we were told that we could appear today at the meeting and see what would come of the proposal. So that's just the gist of it. There are a couple steps there that one thing I did speak to Dr. Ruda about even before the proposal. I had come up to a game to watch, and I will say I've been to 2 games. We've lost both of them. And so I don't know if I'm coming Sunday. I'm not. I want to come, but I guess if I can get a Butler shirt, I'll wear it. But in speaking to Dr. Ruda, we were just talking in general about, the college and representation and what I do. And I can tell you a little bit about that. I don't want to bore everybody, but my big thing, and I want to assure you moving forward, is that transparency is a big thing. And our office is big on that. That's something that you have to do, especially in the public sector. The transparency is paramount. Obviously, if something's confidential, we can't talk about it. If something's pending in a court, or if it's anticipated litigation, we can't talk about it. But processes of choosing people, processes of contracting, processes of if we have to get rid of somebody, if we have to get rid of a provider, then transparency. I mean, because you're going to have to answer to the people. And I think Dr. Wassing, you touched upon that, just to be able to be accountable to the people that talk to you about being a trustee. You need to make sure you vet the process. And so that's where we're at. My office there's 3 attorneys in my office, myself, Wayne Tate, who is actually retiring as well. He's retiring in December. And then Nathan Foreman. I don't know of the packets. I don't know if you were given our anything, but Mr. Foreman's an attorney. I've been practicing since 2005. Mr. Foreman's been practicing since 2006. He does a lot of civil litigation, probates. He handles municipality issues. I also do extended criminal. I have criminal experience, domestic experience. We represent school boards. We help with some mediations and issues. Now, thankfully, and I will say as a caveat, thankfully, Hugoton, Elkhart, Holcomb, Southwestern Heights, Sublette, those places that we have done work for and do work for, thankfully, they don't have a lot of issues. I mean, we have a few issues every now and then. So I'm not going to stand in front of you and tell you that I am the sharpest razor on every legal issue that there is, but I intend to get up to speed, and I intend to get, I'll work towards that, and our office will work towards that. And I'm confident that Mr. Foreman, who also joined our office about a year ago, he was in-house counsel for Seward County as the county counselor. So he's done a lot of things with you know, with the bigger county of Seward County. I'm Stevens County counselor. I'm the Stevens County prosecutor. So we have a wide, we have a breadth of experience and knowledge on certain things. So I'll take any questions that you have. I mean, my wife's a school teacher. I have 3 kids, 2 6-year-olds and a 2-year-old. So if I look tired, it's not just because I'm ugly. I probably am tired. So, but I don't know if you have questions or if I can answer anything. And I want to say one more thing. I understand that the services will start in January. My hope and my ask of you would be that you give me the grace period to work with Mr. Grizzell and understand that I don't know the issues that you face right now. I mean, you have pending lawsuits. I'm sure we have a lot of moving parts. You have pending lawsuits. You have lawsuits in different stages of you know, a demand letter here, you're in discovery here, you're getting ready to go to mediation here. I don't know if those are case, but I mean, there's different stages of different things. You probably have contracts, you have moving parts that are always having to be addressed. And so if I'm granted the grace from you to get up to speed with Mr. Grizzell, I want to do that, whether it's meeting with him in person, reviewing his files, spending time up here to get up to speed, because January 1 is then we're all hands on board and we want to be up to speed as much as we can. And I appreciate the fact that it's a 1-year contract and that you have the chance to review it. But I also understand that, you know, Mr. Grizzell had a first day on the job as well. And there's probably going to be some growing pains. I'm transparency again. There's going to be some things we've got to figure out. I want to make sure that I can establish a line of communication, whether it's with the board, with administration, who it is, because I don't think as the board, you don't want to have teachers calling me or, you know, instructors calling me, somebody from the football team calling me and saying, well, you're our lawyer. I mean, that's not the case. And I understand that, but I want to be clear with you, and I'll be glad to give you my contact information, my cell phone information. And I get up early and go to bed late. So the 7 a.m. and 10:30 p.m. stuff, we'll probably have it covered, but I'll take any questions.
That you answered the question that I was coming up with was what would be your plan for becoming familiar with the cases that are pending right now?
Sure. Yeah. And so I understand that with any client, I tell them the last thing you want to do is spend money with a lawyer. I mean, I understand that. And it's not a joke in the sense as, I mean, you don't want to spend money, but I also understand that there'll be great value in my opinion, paying, you know, you'll have 2 attorneys essentially at work. You can't expect Mr. Grizzell to do it for free. And I know you don't expect us to do it for free, but we've got to get up to speed. And I don't want to walk in January 1 and just say, here's all these cases, good luck to you. I want to talk to them and review the emails. I mean, there's going to be some work. And I know Mr. Grizzell has 20+ years of representing Garden. Is that right? I'm not sure, but a long time of representing the community college. So he's got stuff in his mind that's moving around that maybe he's going to have to get to me and that I can try to understand. So if you're fine with that, Doctor, I mean, I would appreciate that. And that's something that Dr. Ruda can discuss, but I'm willing to put that work in and to come and meet with him and to get up to speed.
Randy has given will cooperate fully with getting him up to speed. Is that not right?
That is correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I would be surprised if he wouldn't.
Transition plan. He's been very forward. Not going anywhere even after January, so he'll be around.
Yeah.
Questions that we have discussions with him on.
And I understand 2 attorneys and costs, but at this point in time, I don't think we want to spend. We want to be conservative on that. We want you to get as knowledgeable as you can get with Randy. So when you are left alone, you know what Randy knew.
Sure, and I appreciate that, and I will tell you that you don't know me now, and in a year from now, I hope we have a good relationship. I'm sure I'll give you advice that you don't like. I'm sure that I'm going to tell you things you do like, but my job is to break it to you, and that's the hardest thing as an attorney is giving bad news. It's easy to tell you that we won. It's easy to tell you that everything's going to be good, but giving the bad news is the hard part. But the thing that I can tell you is that once I get up to speed, then I'll have a lot, obviously I'll have a better understanding of everything that's going on. If I can, one suggestion, and I don't know if the board would be open to this, but I work for and represent Pioneer, which is an electric cooperative based out of Ulysses. And they went through a transition here in the last year or so where they had a vice president retire, and he'd been there 30 years, had done a lot of work, and they kind of kept him on a contract of as needed. And that way for a year, if they needed, they could just pay him. And I sense that Mr. Griselle is open to something like that, because we're going to get into a different season of things that maybe we didn't go over in a great depth. And he's going to have to know something. It might be March, might be April, and then but he'll know about that. So I don't know.
Is something like that been discussed with Randy being available after a certain period of time on a contingency basis? And he's willing to do that. Yeah. We want to be able to have his expertise as long as we need it.
I was just in an additional comment. Then you can get together with Dr. Ruda and Jody. We communicated with Mr. Griselle by email. So you will get our emails and be able to pass on the information that you need and vice versa.
And I just want, I will speak on points of contact, but I think Mr. Hitz, to touch on where you're at representing the board, I want to be accessible to you, and I want you to have my contact information. I'll give you my cell phone number, and then if something comes up, even if you have an issue or a question and you want to run it by me or just say, hey, there's something that I'm thinking, I want to be accessible to you. And I don't want to, I don't take Mr. Hitz. I heard your comments, and I don't want to start off on a bad foot, and I don't sense that, but I want to make sure that I'm accessible and that you're comfortable with me.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the opportunity to work with you.
Further discussion?
Madam Chair, I request that amended motion that the amendment is to approve the recommendation from Dr. Ruda for Tate & Kitsky's 1-year contract, but that we also allow him for financial reasons to transition with Griselle as soon as possible to get up to speed, so that when he does come at contract in January 1st, that he is the best prepared he can be to represent not only us, but the college.
I'll second the amended motion.
Discussion on the amendment. So I would ask Carla, can we fit that in the budget somewhere?
Oh, sure.
2 months of.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I kind of figured it could. But.
And I also understand, just as the process was going along, I understand that Mr. Griselle has not made a practice of attending the meetings unless there's something that you need to talk to him about.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. But if you wanted me to attend a few of the first board meetings to get up to speed or to be on ground level, I definitely will make that a priority, and I can be here. I don't, if you say you're okay with that and I review the minutes, or I have a briefing the next day with Dr. Ruda or Ms. Armstrong, I'm okay with that too. So I don't want you to feel that you're inconveniencing me by asking me to come, and I'd be glad to do that. Thank you for your consideration.
Any other discussion on the amendment? So we'll need to vote on the amendment first, and that is to amend our original motion to include a contingency payment for additional services from now until January 1st for Tate & Kitsky to become familiar with the work that's ahead of them in consult with Mr. Griselle. Okay, we'll go ahead and vote on the amendment. Those in favor of the amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Beth. Opposed? Okay, so the amendment carries. Now we're back to our original motion with the amendment. Are you ready to vote? Okay, all those in favor of approving item D as amended, please say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, thank you. Thanks for making the trip.
And I'll stick around.
All right. Next on our agenda is confirming monitoring reports. And we have general executive constraints number 10, which is on safety of the college. And I'll turn that over to Dr. Ruda.
Within the monitoring report provided several key aspects there that speak to safety and security of campus. Within the specific constraint talks about shall not fail to ensure a safe and healthy environment on campus. Several different elements come into that. Everything from communication at the onset, which we highlight specifically from the student standpoint during freshman orientation, as well as incorporating that into new employee orientation. But then we also broke it down into several different components. Talked about the various training, safety, and security aspects that are included within the campus police. Everything from CPR to several things that I wanted to point out from this report that we have implemented building emergency leaders. This is an initiative there where there is individuals designated within each building that are the key contact for that building. They are the building emergency leader. Once a month, there are meetings that are held with Chief Dozier and these individuals just to talk through safety and security measures that may have been brought to them within their buildings, things that we may need to be looking at there as far as improved protocols, and then also just being able to go through and do walkthroughs of the building on a monthly basis there as well. And then we also do several different things. Chief Dozier had brought forward last year a recommendation that I thought was very valuable, and he had actually implemented it, where he has allowed employees, and he holds all employee meetings by building throughout the semester. And this is really just a time for individuals by building to come in, talk specifically to him and his department about things that they are seeing across campus, questions that they may have relative to safety and security, creating an open dialogue that he can then bring back to myself, to college council and college cabinet with recommendations and things that he is hearing. So again, just some different measures, some very ground roots efforts there to help with keeping eyes and ears open on that end. We've also gone through and made several improvements across campus there as far as lighting. The quad of campus has had significant improvements that have been made, not only just in the aesthetics, but also in lighting and then the safety with the sidewalks being completed there for trip hazards, safety hazards on that end there as well. And we've expanded the lighting improvements across campus there to enhance safety on that aspect. Kind of going forward then with the human resources, this gives you a glimpse of several different things that have been taken into account for safety and programming that is being done for employees. We, as you're aware, initiated an agreement with Grow Well Clinic through Blue Cross and Blue Shield. Several things just to be able to they're doing element, and then also element a communication piece of efforts that we're doing to heighten awareness on safety and security. Some of those things are what's called Safe Colleges. This is an online training platform that all of our employees go through on an annual basis. So there are very specific online trainings that all employees are required to go through and complete. We can track completion of that. It's online videos, and then survey or a assessment at the end there based upon videos, just to take a look at how well you understand Title IX, bloodborne pathogens. So there are several adding into this going on in the future. This is a great way to be able to customize training, allow flexibility for employees to do that time and still be able to meet requirements on safety and security. And then just some of the last aspects, providing a very high level overview of student health services. There is a multitude of things that are being done to be able to take into account student health, everything from, again, just informational sessions on everything from wellness checks with eyes, bringing in dental clinics, but doing a lot of just informational sessions, not to exclude the fact that she is also doing a lot of things, even pre-pandemic there, just with flu shots, wellness checks, and going through and doing a lot of the programming there across campus, as well as being able to forge partnerships with Centura Health and Genesis on mental health and health services available on campus. So there is a great deal of information provided in this report that I think provides you really kind of a general overview of steps and measures that are being enacted to be able to, both on the student and the employee side, address and account for what's being done for safety and security across Garden City College. Happy to answer any questions.
So our expectation placed in policy governance is pretty broad. And it's just charging President Ruda to be responsible for the safe and health of the campus. Are you guys satisfied with the explanations, or is there any other aspects that need to be addressed?
I believe he's doing an outstanding job with his team.
Okay, I would declare that we accept the monitoring report as presented. Thank you. Okay. Reviewing our monitoring report from last month, we are on page 43 in our booklet. This is reviewing work preparedness. I'll just give you a minute to review the language. I don't have any improvements to make, but I'd entertain any discussion on that. Okay, any thoughts? Leave it as is.
Leave it as is.
Okay, all right, that's what we'll do. Thank you. All right, a few more things to review. I have a summarization of our monthly board self-assessment that I wanted to share with you. I know Beth mentioned to me that she wanted to change item 4 on here. So I just thought we'd take a minute to look at this and see if there's any other items that needed to be revised. Are you satisfied with the questions, and are you satisfied with the process that we have initiated so far with this?
My only question in requesting that Marilyn look at the wording was, it was sort of like I was confused in there. Was I supposed to answer yes? Was I supposed to answer no if I agreed with it? So if it's clear to everybody else, then leave it alone.
Okay, I came up with a substitute, Beth, and I'm gonna share with the board, but for number 4, instead of saying board members did not make a judgment of the president or staff performance except in assessing policy governance ends, the substitution is my suggestion, board members conversations demonstrate support for the president and staff. Yes or no?
I like it.
Sounds good.
All right. So I felt like at the end of the board meeting, we're all tired and it's hard to review this at the end of the board meeting, but I didn't know if there was any other better time to do it. So I just wanted to hear your guys' point of view about the review.
I think it's most appropriate at the end. I mean, it has to be put somewhere. I don't see it being, and the idea of, at least the way I take a board meeting is you put the most important stuff at the beginning and you start filtering it down from there. Not saying that this isn't important, but when it comes to those other things, I think those are the most important pressing issues of the board. This is more of an evaluation of ourselves. So it's kind of the ancillary stuff that it's important, but it's important to just the board. And I think it's good where it's at. But happy to move it if somebody else feels like it should be somewhere else.
All right, I will share with you, this is something that Pam shared with us at one of our retreats. Just a reminder about the 20 top truths for effective trusteeship. And as we look at our monthly self-assessment, if there's anything else that we can include in the assessment that reflects those 20 top truths, please speak up. So this is the amended or the revised assessment with the new number 4. So we'll collect that at the end of the meeting and review it. Any other comments? Okay. All right, we're going to continue on our agenda. Is there any public comment? No. Okay. All right, President's report.
I'm going to change it up here a little bit this month so that I don't have to bore you with things that I'm talking about that are great at Garden City Community College. I felt like it's important to keep you updated on several things that we have that are advancing the college forward. First, I'm going to ask Chuck Pfeiffer to come forward and just talk through some of the updates, overview of the Title V STEM grant. Chuck will be serving as the project director for this grant. Chuck, don't know, serving as our Dean of Tech Ed and Workforce, has done a great job in that area, has experience in working with Title IV, Title V grant programs in the past. And so I feel like it's, you know, we talk a lot about the STEM grant and what it is that's encompassed within that, but really getting down into some of the things that are going to be occurring over this first year, and have Chuck provide an overview for you.
Thank you, President Ruda. I provided a handout at your place that looks something like this. If you want to feel free to grab that. But as he said, this is a brand new grant opportunity for us. It's a 5-year grant that we were awarded. It'll start on October 1. So we're about a month in, and it will continue until September 30th, 2026. And this is a great opportunity for the college to really expand in a number of ways: programmatic, personnel, facilities, and really just the impact that we could have on young people in bringing awareness about STEM opportunities, STEM careers, STEM programs. So I'm very excited about this. At the top, the overview of the grant is listed there. Just in general, there are kind of 4 pillars or 4 priorities there that you can read through. But in a nutshell, we are going to bring 3 new programs to the college. And 2 of those programs have multiple pathways, so on-ramps and off-ramps with certification possibilities, as well as full AAS degrees. And they also have opportunities for transfer. So one of the main priorities is also to establish some additional transfer articulation agreements with probably mostly Fort Hays State University, but also the other Regents universities within the state of Kansas. Probably the biggest and the most noticeable impact this grant will have is in facilities. We are going to, we're working with an architect right now. We'll be able to fund an addition onto the north side of the Faust building that will have classroom space, science lab space, collaborative learning space, some office space. It's really going to have a huge impact, and we'll be right there along Campus Drive, right in between the Faust building and the DPAC. So it'll have a huge impact on just the visibility that local citizens have as they drive by the campus. So we're really excited about that. And those types of things wouldn't always be possible without a grant like this. The details are down below there. I break it down, as I said, about $5 million. It's technically $4.99 million over 5 years. We will be able to hire some additional staff members, an activity director, an outreach coordinator. We have brought on an administrative assistant that'll be an internal transfer, Julie Farr. And then those crop production specialists and robotics specialists, those are fancy ways of saying faculty members in those respective programs. So we have somebody, Ron Carlson, who's here tonight. He will be serving in capacity for some of our cybersecurity courses. And then the other 2 don't exist yet. We don't have a crop production technology person yet, nor the robotics specialist. Finally, let's see, down there at the bottom, the STEM Summit. Oh yeah. So the STEM Summit program during the summers, we put in to offer some STEM summits where we will, in the first couple of years, we will invite faculty from Fort Hays State University with our faculty. They'll collaborate on some programs. The first couple might invite high school students, maybe sophomores to seniors, to come to the campus and experience exposure to everything from drones to chemistry to cybersecurity to all sorts of different aspects of STEM. In the last 2 to 3 years of the grant, we'd really like to expose K through 12 instructors to some of those same things so that they can go back to their respective schools and heighten the awareness and promotion and just the exposure, again, STEM opportunities. That's a nutshell, in a nutshell. I'd like to come back regularly and provide you updates with all sorts of things like this. And in the meantime, feel free to reach out either directly to me or through President Ruda at any time. And you'll see a lot of exciting things over the next 5 years with this grant. Does anyone have any questions right off the board?
Can you go ahead and elaborate on when you expect students to be enrolled and how are you going to recruit them?
So different programs have different years written in. For instance, the cybersecurity programs, we will start developing those right away. And we would expect to have some of those students enrolled in new classes by fall of 2022. Some of the crop production technology courses, not yet, still have a couple of years. And so, and the robotics, the same. We need a couple of years to develop those. We don't even know what those classes are yet. Okay. The outreach coordinator position, And it's not an outreach that maybe some people would say, oh, don't we have an outreach coordinator that works with our local high schools in dual credit? And the answer is yes, Don Tucker does that. But this would be a person who is really going to chamber meetings or the Finney County Economic Development and speaking on the radio and going out and bringing sixth grade groups to campus to experience some chemistry things and blowing things up and new animatage things from the biology department, anatomy, physiology. So we have a person written into the grant that will really focus on that. And they will also really work on those summer STEM summits. So yeah, we will have those, and we've already worked with Madeline and Celia and Melody to put together some things. We're already going to get words out. We're going to have flyers and just really bring some awareness about this grant. The overall goal is to really make Garden City Community College the STEM hub of Southwest Kansas, if not all of Western Kansas. It doesn't exist right now. We have this opportunity, and we really have some exciting ideas. And I really, truly believe that this grant is going to help us do that.
In reference to your crop production technology, are you reaching out to any of these very successful farmers around our area? I'm thinking of, like, for example, the Voldemores in Scott City. Some people like that. Are you reaching out to them and asking for their input, any advice, help?
Oh, absolutely. In addition to local farmers, but we also have, for instance, we'll reach out to the Nutrient Ag and Garden City Co-op and some of those others that will help really expose us to some of the really cutting edge things that we need to be teaching. We did need to explore, just for the grant application, we explored some of the curriculum at just on the surface. So we know that we need to teach some classes in precision ag, chemical application, fertilizer applications, different, planting, seeding. We really need to get into agronomy and crops and soils at a much deeper level than we're doing right now. And we have our advisory committee that already exists for our animal science and our agriculture programs. And that will certainly really serve as a base. Then we can really reach out from there. Right now, our programs here on the campus, we have Cindy Van John, Dr. Clint Alexander, Skylar Glenn, that all have extensive backgrounds in animal science, degrees out the, with so much experience in animal science. So we're really going to be reaching out to a lot of those industry partners. Really exciting, going to be an exciting time.
A lot of these farmers have made it because they've had their own experiences that are not tried by modern science or whatever. And I think they have an awful lot to add, to give to a program like this, teaching folks what they can do that maybe isn't in the textbook, but maybe should be.
Sure.
And I would encourage you to make contact with these people and really try to get them involved with us.
Yeah.
We were down at coffee one day, and there was a man there, and I can't remember his name, but it was the or chemicals, I think it was.
Yeah.
And he really wanted to get involved with Garden City Community College, and it appeared to me that there was opportunities there for some financial assistance from his company.
Mm-hmm.
And I would hate to see us let any of those rocks go unturned when we need to look under them to see what they got.
I've already reached out to him and already spoken with him. And as a nice segue to tomorrow's big event on campus, we have Exploration Day, which we're bringing close to 600 high school students here tomorrow. Nutrient Ag is going to be our major sponsor. I believe you probably spoke with Louis. Right. And so, yeah, we've reached out to them, and they're going to be a big part. We already have two of their people on our Ag Advisory Committee. So yeah, we're very familiar with Nutrient, and we work with Servitech and some of the others. So yeah.
Well, this is just an example that when Ryan goes out on these coffees, he's not just drinking coffee.
That's right. Actually do.
Good to be able to add this truly is a transformative opportunity here at this college. It does, as Chuck mentioned, position Garden City Community College to truly be the STEM hub, not only Western Kansas, but regional. With this grant, through this grant, with the addition of facilities, we'll be the only community college, really, until you get onto the eastern side of the state, that has full-time faculty in all 4 science disciplines, as well as dedicated science labs and an on-campus cadaver lab, as well as virtual cadaver lab. So when you truly look around, students are able to get their start into whatever career path that they want STEM related by coming to Garden City. That's absolutely how we have molded this grant application vision for it. So we'll bring further updates to you there so that you have a good understanding of everything that's happening here with this Title V grant. Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I also want to just allow a few minutes. I know we've had a significant amount of work that's being accomplished across campus, both through the COP that the board helped to be able to provide vision on for this campus, as well as just several of the stimulus fund projects for technology upgrades. So I'd asked Derek to come and provide just a quick update and overview on several things that have happened and projects that we still have remaining, as well as providing timelines on that. Derek?
Yeah, sometimes it's nice to kind of look back and see what's been accomplished throughout the year. And I can just talk about the last 8 months and the amount of projects that have been done on campus and then the projects that we're currently working on and then will be working on. Slideshow's working. You can just put it on that screen. I can just talk a little bit about it. I mean, you won't see the visuals, but the campus HVAC Energy Center and cooling towers upgrade. We added 1,200 tons back in March of cooling capacity, and then we also upgraded our energy center, which allows for our system to run only when it's needed. So this is, and you'll see a kind of a running theme, some of the projects we have, like increased energy efficiency and low operating costs. So it allows us to save costs when we become more energy efficient, and that's what the system does for us. The quad tunnel cap, and I know you guys are well aware of this project. This project made for a very, very long summer. It was a tough project. I mean, if there was any obstacle that to be found on the construction project, we found it with this one. Whether it was material delays or labor shortages, we ran into numerous projects. It seemed like every other day there was a new problem to solve. So very, very glad to get this one done. You know, this was phase 3 of the tunnel cap replacement. We installed drainage wells and decorative concrete that I believe brings an aesthetic feel to the campus that's in the main quad has been missing. So I'm very, very proud of this project. While it took a long time to get done, I'm glad we did it. And I'm glad 50 years from now, it's going to be somebody else's problem, not mine. So the hydronic pipe project, that project goes hand in hand with the tunnel cap. So when we had that tunnel cap exposed, we went ahead and replaced some of that original hydronic hot water pipe that's been there for 50 years. So it's been long overdue. It's been on our master facilities plans for a couple of years now. So replacing that 1,200 feet was much needed, and it secures our infrastructure for years to come. So I'm glad we got that project done. The Williams Stadium lighting replacement, as you guys can see out there right now, this is a small picture of kind of of what happened when we added 128 high efficiency LED lighting. So again, running with the energy efficiency theme, we greatly improved visibility and then lowered the operating costs for having installed these new. So hopefully at some point in the future, this project will pay for itself just for energy savings.
And you can see there too that we really bleed over into residential areas. So now being able to have this lighting in place there, you don't have much of a bleed lighting into that.
Just ask any neighbor, and they're more than happy that we did this project. So it's nice. The next project is the Joyce Fine Arts Auditorium. You know, we repainted the auditorium walls and trim, we removed old seating, we installed carpet, and we ran into some problems with getting the carpet here with supplies being low, and then you know, everything going on with shipping and receiving. But when we got it here, we got it installed, found some problems with installation. So we made sure they came back and did it right. And so then we brought in the chair manufacturer who was also doing the installation. And they got one of their crews caught COVID, so it delayed that installation even further. But I am happy to announce that next week they'll be here on campus and installing the chairs. So I'm excited to show you the final project once it's done. So yeah, that's been a long time coming as well. It's one of those projects that keeps on going. So we're excited to get that done. The next projects are the DPAC roofing. You know, we replaced the north low roof and the south low roof, as well as the roof above the gymnasium floor. You know, we invested a bunch of money in the Conestoga Arena. So we wanted to make sure we protected that investment and there was no leaks that could have got on that gym floor, damaging it. We also replaced the Bronxbuster suite roofing. It's a total of 8 buildings containing 52 apartments. Replaced all the shingles, not only on the roofs, all fascias were wrapped with metal. So we were able to stop the water from getting into those fascias and put gutter system on there too to displace that water. So it helps with maintenance costs going forward. West Hall domestic hot water project. I mean, this one was sorely needed. We had various issues with a hot water system in the West Hall. So we added 230 gallon water heaters, installed 220 gallon holding tanks, added an expansion tank. So hopefully those kids and the students there that are living there have, you know, the reliant hot water and they're not complaining about, you know, cold water anymore. The library model. I don't know if you guys, I know some of you have been on campus and have walked into the library and saw our partnership with Fort Hays State, which is, you know, great. It gives our students an opportunity to meet with the university face to face. We're very proud of this project. We worked with the local construction contractor, Benitez Construction, who did a lot of the work on this project, and we're very happy how it turned out. So kudos to them. The West Hall ventilation upgrade. Now this was a pretty big project. It cost around $500,000. And what happened is in the 90s, they decided to take out trunk lines out of the ductwork in West Hall. And they did that because the noise in West Hall, as you can imagine, you get all these kids in West Hall and they're loud and they just couldn't stand the noise. So when they took those trunk lines out, they didn't realize that the airflow kind of stopped in those rooms and we started getting mold issues. So for the last 2 decades, they had been battling some mold issues, excessive moisture. So what we did was we installed 2 DOAS units. It's dedicated outdoor air systems, and they're pumping in fresh air into each one of those dorm rooms. So now these kids are getting constant fresh air, and we eliminated the excessive moisture from building in these rooms. So it's going to improve that, and we have some projects coming in the future that's hopefully going to make West Hall more aesthetically pleasing, and then lower maintenance costs. You know, we want to put epoxy on the floors, new sinks. It's like the censored sinks, so you know the kids can't, you know, turn the water on and leave it running for all night, stuff like that. So we're very excited to kind of, you know, put lipstick on the West Hall. So as Ryan alluded earlier, you know, campus lighting. This will be phase 2. We're installing 14 new light poles for security measures. You know, I joke with Ryan that you know, with those 5 that we put in there a couple of years ago, you could see us from space. Well, I think after putting 14 more, you're definitely going to see us from space. But Rodney's very excited. I'm very excited. And this also provides us space to display 31 decorative banners for campus events. So I encourage you guys to walk on campus, especially the north end. We haven't completed the south end yet, but we got the north 7 installed with the banners. So you really get that collegiate atmosphere with these banners, you know, and it kind of gives you a sense of pride, you know, community college pride. You see our, you know, our motto, you know, home of the Busters, or it's a great day to be a Buster everywhere. And I think it really looks good on campus. So
That lower left picture was actually taken at midnight last night.
yeah, exactly. So the next 7 on the south end will be done probably in the next couple of weeks. Our own electrical department, a couple guys are doing the work. They're boring, they're running all the electrical to the pole, so it's just taking us a little longer. Another project that we're pretty proud of is the student housing courtyard landscaping. You know, we've struggled for years kind of trying to figure out what we wanted to do in this area. We wanted to make it feel like the kids had took some pride in where they lived and, you know, could enjoy it. What we ended up doing was brand new irrigation, installed sod, and we're going to put bushes and low maintenance shrubbery around the areas. And then maybe in the future, add some seating areas, maybe a gazebo or something like that. So we're just trying to make it nice as possible for the kids that live there. So I'm pretty proud of the guys with that project as well as this one. And this goes hand in hand with the tunnel cap project that we did. And, you know, we had some community members come earlier a couple months ago and, you know, had some things to say, and they were absolutely correct. Our campus quad did get destroyed this summer. You know, our grass got torn up. There was dirt, dust, sand everywhere. Trees suffered, bushes died. The irrigation got damaged pretty bad. So between maintenance and grounds, they went in there, repaired all the irrigation lines, sprinkler heads. Then they got the sod, and it took them about a week and a half to do the entire project. I'm very, very proud of them. They worked their tails off, and I think it looks great. I'd love for you guys to come on campus. The sod's really taken, and then it looks amazing. And you put that with the new tunnel cap and then the decorative concrete, I think it looks great. So pretty proud of the way it turned out. Fleet vehicles, and you know, Craig's gonna kill me for saying this, but I think our fleet is in the best shape it's been in a long, long time. Craig's done an amazing job. He added a 220 Freightliner bus this year. He added a 2008 Ford Expedition, 2020 Malibu, 21 Malibu, and a 2007 1500 maintenance utility truck. So Craig does a great job of keeping the transportation fleet, you know, up and running and safe for all of our passengers. So very proud of that. Access control phase 2, and this goes on to a safe campus like Ryan was alluding to earlier as well. You know, this allows us to remote lock down all of the doors in case any emergency on campus. I mean, and it gives us the ability to check, you know, not have to go through every campus door for security like they used to in the past and manually check every single door. So we know we get sensors, we get alerts, updates if any doors ajar or if any doors open, and then it allows us to remotely fix the problem quickly. So I'm very excited about this project. Hopefully go to phase 3 sometime in the future. In phase 3, we'll probably try to bring a dormitory online, probably West Hall, and it'd be like a hotel system where the kids will use their cell phones like we do now to get in buildings, but just to go up to their room and then be able to swipe it and get in. So some of the IT projects, there's been numerous. New laptops are currently being put into rotation for new employees and for devices that need retired. All faculty and staff will be getting new laptops. That's rolling out here in the next couple of weeks. Microsoft Intune has enhanced our capability to remotely manage devices, and we are in the final stages of piloting the devices. A big one for us was the wireless refresh. 357 new Wi-Fi 6 capable access points were installed. So it took our number from 257 to 456 across campus. So that's going to add from going from Wi-Fi 5 to Wi-Fi 6. And what Wi-Fi 6 is just a new generation of Wi-Fi. So it's not only going to be faster, it's going to be more reliable. And so hopefully kids, you know, when they're adding their Xbox, their iPad, their laptop, their cell phone, all to our network, they'll be happy with the speed of their internet. So this was pretty big for us. Move on to the next one. You know, we added we installed 2 on-site hardware servers capable of handling all of our data. The data backup storage upgrade. This will provide us with a much higher level of resiliency and far less downtime in the case of hardware failure, ransomware attack, a natural disaster, or any other event. So this was a much needed safety measure for our data if anything would have happened. So I'm glad we got that done. And these will be quick. John Deere classrooms were remodeled. Fine arts classrooms were remodeled. Numerous classrooms over there in Joyce. We're glad maintenance worked hard and got those done. Women's basketball office and locker room is one of the last little offices that need to be done in DPAC. And finally, the transit building, we finally broke ground on the transit building just this last week. We're very, very excited to get that project started and get it done. The metal building's still scheduled to ship out on the 30th of April. Hopefully we can get, you know, good news and that gets here quicker, but deconstruction has already begun. So to get that, you know, our fleet, our bus fleet housed, you know, that's $1 million of assets just sitting there. So we need to get that taken care of. So and it's excited to get done. And then upcoming, some of the projects we're currently working on in the future. It's rodeo projects. We're talking to getting new stalls, maybe possibly a new building, depending on how the budget works out. A new chiller for our energy center. Again, it's going to add redundancy and energy efficiency further. And if we add the STEM center, which we are doing, and then hopefully any future buildings, this will allow them to be put on the campus loop, which will increase our capacity. Library lobby remodel, we're probably going to work on in December. PTSC game room remodel, STEM center, obviously like Chuck was talking about earlier, and then an auditorium demo rack and replacement. So, you know, we've been very, very busy, and sometimes, you know, I forget to look back and kind of see what we've done. So it's nice to kind of give you guys an overview of kind of what we've been done. So if you guys have any questions.
I come out here and walk around campus in the mornings at different times. And I know you don't have all the help that you need, but I see a lot of litter, particularly if, on a Monday, and if the wind is blowing. I'm sure that's come to your attention, and I'm sure that you have some ideas how that can be picked up quicker. Again, I understand and realize you don't have enough help to do everything, but it's really unsightly if you were a guest walking around and all of the litter that was blown into the corners and things like that. So I just want to tell you that if I were a newcomer in here looking for a place to go to school, that would be brought to my attention, and I'd have to question how much emphasis is put on to keeping the campus looking good. And I know, I'm not saying that as a criticism, I'm just saying it as an observation. Oh, I know you're aware of it.
Yeah, and I'm right there with you. You know, it's kind of one of those things where, you know, you kind of want to put the dormitory in a bubble, because a lot of those kids don't know where the trash can is.
Exactly.
So yeah, but yeah, we're working on kind of trying to mitigate that in certain ways, maybe putting up a nice little decorative fence. So when we do get a south wind, it goes from East Eunice, where all the trash accumulates, and then it goes all over campus. But you're absolutely right. We're trying to come up with ways to be proactive about it.
Kind of like a wind tunnel.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the occupancy on our Bronxbuster suites? Instead of occupancy, 100%. I'm sorry. Yes. No. What is occupied now?
We're two of the sections are used for COVID isolation rooms right now.
Okay.
So we're not at full capacity, but I think we're pretty close. Yep. And those are highly sought after.
So if we had an influx of a lot of students, all of a sudden we would have places to put them. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
One more comment, and I'd like to make about Craig. And I don't know if you all are aware, but those buses, when they go out, and having driven bus for 20 years, Craig knows where those buses are. If there's a problem in that bus, if he's already has it diagnosed and he's in communication with the driver, he's wiring or talking ahead, finding places where the driver can take that bus, get it fixed. And I think that's a big safety feature for our transportation people, because he knows where they're at. If they need help, he knows where they're at. When I drove, if you had a problem, you was out there at 4 o'clock in the morning and you broke down. If you were lucky, you had a cell phone that could reach somewhere, and maybe it did and maybe it didn't. But I just feel that there's a certain amount of security for me in the ability of him. And he stays on top of that. Those guys go out, come down here in the morning. In years past, you'd have to start your bus and let it warm up. You get down here and there's a bus leaving at 5 o'clock in the morning. He's already there and got it warmed up for him.
Yeah. And I would like to say something further on Craig. I would extend that to all of operations. I mean, Craig really.
I didn't realize it's sitting back there.
Yeah, he is really the glue that helps us stay all together. He does a lot more than just.
Yeah. I didn't mean to embarrass you, Craig. If I did, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think the main purpose is to be able to highlight Yeah, there's an opportunity to catch a breath. But you can see, works very well. I do want to just have it close it. Appreciate the ground maintenance. A lot of the work that's been done on these projects has been in-house work. That's what we contractors and a considerable amount of outsourcing. But we've done work in-house. On top of the work. Want to give credit where credit's due to the department also. Significant amount of oversight has to happen. Different projects. Then ongoing.
Thank you. I think you way to keep it all together. Yeah. That's it. Right, so there was a little bit of incidental information. Does anybody have any questions about it? Okay, moving on, report from Finney County Economic Development.
The housing study that was conducted by the RDGB group was concluded, and preliminary report was given to governmental agencies and other interested parties on November 3rd. Estimated that there'd be 2,000 units would be needed in the next 10 years, which represents a substantial increase in population and potential students for the college. The study did provide enough information to get approval for the RFID governmental funding program to be approved for the unincorporated area between Garden City and Holcomb, and for Holcomb itself. And the maker space on North 3rd Street has 10 scholarships for memberships for the college. They should be getting in touch with the college. That's it.
All right, Beth,
Yes,
is there any report for KCCT?
we have our next meeting the 3rd and 4th of December in Pratt.
Okay. Report from Faculty Senate. Kate?
Not any report for this time. Our last meeting coincided with the first time. Next month we'll have a report.
Okay. All right, accreditation update.
So, appreciate again the opportunity to come before you, and today it is very, very short. It is just designed to be a preview for 2 of our program reviews. So last month we talked about strategic planning and some of the evolutions of that strategic plan over time. And this month is just a little bit of a review of strategic planning as an introduction to these program reviews. The hope is that this short review helps you place the reviews that you're going to see in context of that overall institutional life cycle and how continuous improvement fits into strategic planning. So we can go to the next one. So just again, a really overview of that slide. You have this in front of you also on paper. So you have that overview. And then the next slide is this graphic. Again, what you're going to be seeing tonight are the 2 circles on the left or the right-hand side, the program or department reviews, these moments of continuous improvement. And if we do the next slide.
Again, these are kind of a chart of how this fits into the overall life cycle of the institution. These continuous improvement practices like 5-year program review, they contribute to institutional learning, things where we can learn about what can be improved, what can be made more efficient, what can help something provide access to more types of students, those sorts of things. And those answers, that learning can help contribute to things in the strategic plan. So different initiatives inside of that strategic plan. So tonight, what you're going to be hearing, the 5-year program reviews, 2 of them from computer science and business, that are parts of those continuous improvement practices that can lead to initiatives. So all that being said, that's all I have.
Wow, Beth and Mark combined in 3 minutes.
Put him in the same category as Beth.
I know. They both were very good tonight.
But I think with that, there's time to do that. Ron Carlson representing overview on this program.
Thanks for the chance to speak. I really appreciate it. And Beth, I hear you're doing better. That sounds good. And I look forward to seeing you in person soon, Beth.
Thank you. I have a great
So I was here 5 years ago, Ryan. Hey. You're there.
You gotta love her.
We do. Ryan introduced me 5 years ago as a new employee teaching physics. Beginning, I started planning and I had a passion to expand the computer science department here. And now I'm full-time computer science. So I'm going to give you a 5-year overview or 5-year program review. Mark kind of set this up. We follow a continuous process improvement methodology using data-driven decisions and SMART goals. I won't go into the details, but in the 60+ page actual report, which I won't go through tonight, every course is assessed at the end of every semester. There are yearly program assessments, and this is these are a summary of the 5-year program review. So I love that picture. It's a nice picture. You can stay on that one for just a second, because if I had to summarize everything, it would be the spring before I got here, there were 8 computer science majors. But 1 year later, we had 18. And 1 year after that, we had nearly 30. We jumped over 30, we held at about 30. I want to see 120. But I appreciated that it tripled in the first few years. And I think it's because we added new courses and we had some new excitement around the program. So it's been 5 years, and Ryan, thanks for hiring me. It's helped keep me off the streets for now. Yeah, you're welcome. Next slide, please. So real quick, our 2 main goals are preparing students for further academic studies and also preparing students for gainful employment. That's our mission in those 2 goals. Next slide. Okay, this is a quote. I won't read the whole thing. I wrote it, so I know what's in it. But cybersecurity is a really critical discipline. It's critical to the government and the military and business and personal data privacy and financial security. So next slide. So to review what we have today, when I got here, there was a program called Computer Information Systems. And that's our program description. And I highlight the words teaching fundamentals of software development and also computer security. So that's the one that's been around for quite a long time. Next slide. So we've created another program but you'll notice it's actually very similar, but here are the differences. Fundamentals of software development, along with a special focus on computer security. But specifically, it would be around CompTIA, which is a vendor neutral certification organization known globally, and preparing people for industry-based certs in IT, network, and security, and project management. So one of the challenges, though, has been to grow that program and distinguish it from the original program. But to do that, we need more courses, and we need more faculty. Actually, we need another person just to be able to offer all the courses needed to get to that goal. Next slide. Right now, we do offer 12 different courses in computer science. I teach 5 in the fall, and I teach 5 in the spring, and I get a little help with the other 2. So instead of looking back for a moment, I want to just go to the present, and with Phil and Chuck and Mark's help, especially, we've been able to create a computer support specialist certification at level A, and that would be to train people to work with computer users and help them troubleshoot their software and hardware problems. We used KBOR and Johnson County Community College as a guideline or a model for how we built this program. Next slide. On that slide, it shows the course content, 16 credit hours. MIS, intro to MIS. Programming, we use Python as programming language. Computer concepts, which is Office, products, and communications. But then the 2 tech central courses are CompTIA A+, and you could name those hardware and software. And then a career success course, so people are better at in a professional situation, able to write resumes and communicate better. So that's our current Cert A. We have, that just was approved by KBOR in April of this year. We have about a half a dozen students who will be completing this certification this year. Next slide. So computer tech skills are in increasing demand. Projected growth 11% for a decade. That means about 500,000 new jobs. For cybersecurity, for every 2 people employed, there is 1 job vacant. There are literally over 400,000 cyber security jobs, not just computer jobs, but cybersecurity specifically. Over 400,000 advertised in the US. The need across the globe is well over 1 million people. We're 1 million people short of cybersecurity. And the average, or the median annual wage is over $91,000 compared to 41,000 across all occupations. I used to work for IBM. When I retired as a senior manager, I had over 50 people working for me, and their average salary was $100,000. So I paid out about $6 million in salary just for my own team, let alone benefits and their work environment and all that. So if you're with the right company with the right skills, you can live on that. Next slide. So in the interest of looking back over the last 5 years, all the current faculty have master's degrees. That wasn't always the case, but everyone always had an undergraduate degree and some additional qualifying experience or certification. And in those 5 years, currently 83% of the courses are taught by full-time faculty, as opposed to 71% 5 years ago. We lost 2 adjuncts in the computer science area, and basically I've picked up that workload. Next slide. So our focus is on programming, it's on hardware, software, network, security, ethics, project management, and preparing people for industry certification. And we use Kansas Board of Regents guidelines, and I study some of the other community colleges, including Johnson County Community College and others, to ensure that we're in alignment with the kinds of certifications they built and the programs they built, because they're an excellent model. Next slide. So this is one I'm kind of proud of. These are 5 new courses that we've introduced in the last 5 years. One cybersecurity, another one's computer science as a discipline, computer ethics, because with this tremendous gift of technology comes a lot of responsibility. And there are new ethical issues, there are new legal issues, and so I think it's important to talk about those in our program as well. I was also a senior project manager for IBM, so I like teaching project management. I think it's a skill that's very useful. Again, when I was working with a team, they were making $100,000 a year. And a person might be a programmer for 2 years and decide, I don't want to do this exactly, but I want to work with technical people. So in Kansas City area where I came from, project management is very much in demand. And the discrete mathematics, I like that. Next slide. The other thing we looked back on was ethnicity, and what I found, these are people in the program over the last 5 years, and you can see the percentages there in those top 3 numbers. Those follow very closely our student body. So in our program, represents the student body, or the student body is represented in our program. Then the last 2 numbers, female, male, 16%, 84. Now, that's quite a disparity, but it's actually really close to the national situation right now. The nationally, that would be 18% and 82%. Next slide. So I want to talk about that for just a bit. So you can see back in the 80s, there were actually over 30% of the people in industry were female, but somehow, or I'm sorry, receiving degrees in computer science. And I saw that too in my work environment, especially in the 80s, 90s. And in a major corporation, there's a lot of equity there. But in terms of degrees and preparing new people, you can see this drop off around 2005 down to 16, 18%. So that's a kind of crisis right there. It's something to think about, and it's a challenge. It's a challenge nationally as well. Any questions? Okay, next slide. So in the program review, we looked at completions, and we looked at it from an ethnicity point of view and male-female point of view. And what I'm comparing it to the program on the left and then the student body on the right. And you can see some of those numbers match almost completely. Or pretty close. So again, I would maintain that the computer science program and students reflect the student body at large. Next slide. So what's our plan? Probably to summarize that, we need better outreach. Next slide, because I want to talk about, these were the 7 goals that came out of this 60-page review. And just to talk about this for a moment, I want to further align the tech courses with industry certifications, because that's a real valuable asset that we can put in the students' hands. If they leave with an industry recognized certification, that's one of the best things we can do for them. I want to streamline the course catalog a little bit to make sure we're staying in focus. I want to add additional cert areas, and that might be, I already teach project management, but Project Plus, Data Science Plus, and maybe in Python programming language, and have better coordinated outreach for these programs and these certs. We need to do a better job of advertising them now that they're kind of up and going. We want to expand our inquiry response process. That means when a student or prospective student comes to the school, we have a coordinated response and follow-up, periodically following up at them at different stages and specific to their interests. So if they say the words computer science or cybersecurity or computer support, they get mailings in an automated way through administration, but where I got to write the letter and put the content in it. So that's being done in the tech side. I'd like to see that expanded all the way across the academic side as well. Initiate and maintain CERT success and alumni info. So I want to give more opportunity to students to take industry certifications while they're still students. And we keep track of their success rate. And we do a better job of keeping track of alumni, where they're going, how they're doing in school, if they'll share that information, what kinds of jobs they're getting, and so on. And the seventh one is planning for some funding for those CERT exams and materials. So you can just page through the next couple of slides. So, you know, I value your input. We're expanding the tech advisory board for this. The next 3 pages in your handout are 3 of the 60 pages in the original book. And it has more detail about the action plan. Okay. And then I added one more page. And Chuck did a lot to introduce this. This page is about CERT B and the cybersecurity AAS. So if I could talk about that for just one more minute. In addition, stacking on top of CERT A, which we already have now, we want to create a CERT B that would focus on network and security. As Chuck said, with this great STEM grant in cybersecurity, robotics, and plant science, one of the jobs of the grant was to create a cybersecurity AAS program and to add at least 3 certifications over the next 5 years. So we're working on a proposed CERT B, which would focus on network essentials, security essentials, and some other courses, about 15 hours, totaling 31 hours. But it would be technical. The majority would be technical courses, and it would stack on top of CERT A. I want to skip a CERT C and go then straight to a cybersecurity AAS program, and that would be a minimum of 60 hours, but it would stack on top of CERT A, computer support specialist, on top, and on that would be network and security skills. And then with some additional technical skills and 15 hours of gen ed, then you would be at a cybersecurity AAS program. And that might include Cloud Plus, or like I mentioned, Data Science Plus, or Python, or Project Plus. And we have a couple of other existing courses that we can add to that, including computer ethics and project management. So all of this process, of course, goes through the administrative process here at college. It goes to you for approval, and then it goes on to K-Board for approval. But I hope to see that materialize next year, probably next fall. That's our target for approval. And then that will complete a couple of the objectives of this grant that we're responsible for. We have 5 years to do it, but we shouldn't wait 5 years. Unless it gives me some jobs. Okay, do you have any questions for me?
These courses fall under Perkins, doesn't it?
The what?
Do they fall under the Perkins grants and money?
Yes. Next question. Beth, do you have any questions?
No, good presentation. I'm so excited for your progress.
I am too. You know, when I got here, I wanted to, in 5 years, I wanted to have a building named after me. But it looks like I need about $4 million to get that name up there. But maybe they'll let me teach there.
Thank you for all you do.
Thanks,
Ron.
You know, when I got here, I wanted to say that I recognized as I stalked and looked through Garden City and what it had to offer before I moved here, I realized it's an economic hub. But because of my personal interests, I want to see it be a cultural hub as well, which includes music and the arts. And there's some fantastic local artists, but we just need more energy around both of those. But I also wanted to see it become a technology center, because Western Kansas has some of the best people in the country. And some of those people should be behind cybersecurity efforts. So I guess I would say I want to see Garden City continue to be an economic hub, but also be fully a cultural hub and a family value-based hub. And I think the college plays a big role in that as well as you. And that's why I'm here.
Thank you.
Yeah, Ron, can we go back to the slide on completions?
Sure. That's probably number 15.
Yeah.
Okay. So my question to you is, are you satisfied with those completion rates for Blacks and females? And I'm going to guess no. And what kinds of ideas do you have to improve that?
Well, yeah, truly, I'm not satisfied. My point here was that they're pretty closely reflect the student body and the success of other students in the same student body. But there have been a lot of efforts to try to promote skills, but just letting people sit in class doesn't quite do it. I would like to see in this new STEM center, I'm excited about this being an activity center where people can explore new things and people can go at their own pace with the supervision of faculty members. I think that hands-on, I encounter a lot of different kinds of learners in here. Some people don't ever want to take an online course because they know that's not going to work for them. I think that's a mature understanding of their learning style. So I think part of it's learning style. But what I've seen on research is that a key thing for females, it turns out to be what's their experience in their very first computer science course. That seems to be where they make a decision to go on or not go on lately. I will say that after my first year, I went to Dakota State University up in my home state of South Dakota. They're an excellent cybersecurity school. They have 3 PhDs for a very small school. They're recruited by the National Security Agency, CIA, and others. And I went up to observe their summer camp where they had junior high girls there for a week. They also had other week-long summer camps. And so I applied for a grant. We did summer camp here 2 summers in a row. And I think that helped with the uptick in program. Then I started talking with Fort Hays about having them just coming down and doing the program because they're doing it up there. But we would host them, make it easy for them to just show up and do those programs. And then COVID hit, and so we've been out of commission for a couple of years. So I think the STEM Center can be a place where these summer activities happen. When I was with IBM, I got to see firsthand in the office, there was a week-long program for middle school girls mentored by middle school and by female professionals and managers, and they had a blast. They had a blast there, and what perfect role models they were. And I think it gets to the heart of that. Some children are programming, you know, in first grade or running computers. So we can't start soon enough to encourage people to explore what's possible. I think we have to connect to them. The best question I've heard is ask a student what they want to accomplish in computer science. Not, you want to be this, you want to be that. What problem do you really want to solve in society? Does that help?
Yeah, yeah. What you're saying is get female advisors and camps going to get more females interested in the STEM Center activity.
Yeah,
becoming more hands-on rather than.
We've lost so much ground from the 80s, mid 80s. It's dropped in half, and it's very unfortunate. And I can't tell you why it's happened in industry. I just know that major corporations, I've worked for AT&T and retired from there, IBM and retired from there. They made a real great effort for equality across there, and it was really important for their success.
All right, thank you.
Yeah,
I
any other
appreciate your
questions?
passion.
Yeah, that's why I'm here. I'll come back in 5 years. Another 5 years. But if you need anything, please let me know. And if you have input, please get it to me or to Chuck. Okay?
Okay.
Also with us tonight is Renee Harvey. But an overview of business.
Hello. So the business program includes several, can you hear me okay with this? I pull it down. Okay. The business program includes several areas of study, including accounting, economics, business administration, marketing management. We have 4 full-time faculty members, Susan Ortega, Lachelle Greathouse, Charles Marcy, and myself. This allows us to offer a wide variety of courses in various modalities. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics Occupational Outlook Handbook of September 1st of 2020, business-related occupations are predicted to grow by 5% over the next 10 years, which is faster than the average for all other occupations. This is another reason to continue to grow and diversify our program offerings. In addition to this, while doing our program review, we learned that 668 unique students during this study were interested in business and listed it as their major. That's a large number of our student population, whether you're looking at FTE or looking at individual students, whether they're full-time or part-time. We attribute a lot of this, or we attribute this large number to several factors. The streamlined advising, Senate Bill 155 or CTE Excel course offerings, and the success rates for the diverse populations within our courses. The advising has moved to the departments, and since completing the program review, Leslie Winslow has taken over as Director of Advising, and she has been wonderful with streamlining processes, increasing training, and we've actually just recently received individual advisor liaisons. So within the advising department, advising and counseling, we have a person that works with our program that really gets to know our program so that they can help promote it to the students, and they kind of know what's going on with each of these programs that they're overseeing. The CTE or Excel, so Senate Bill 155 or CTE Excel classes, is geared towards the high school students, and it's a way for students to try a college class for free or at a reduced cost. Dawn Tucker has done a great job championing this cause, and we would like to coordinate and increase promotion of these courses and utilize full-time faculty to teach these to continue to build relationships with these new Buster students. The success rates was the last area that I talked about, and the success rates tend to be above average for the business program, and we attributed this to several different factors. Typically, business courses are elective courses for our students, so they're actually choosing to be in these classes. So typically, it's an area of interest for them. We also think that this can also be attributed to our students are consumers, so they have that outside real world knowledge of how can this concept then be used in the business world, because they are consumers and they're doing a lot of these things that we're talking about. The success rates are higher. Sorry, I lost the spot. The success rates in particular in our high school outreach classes have been even higher than our on-campus. And one of the reasons that we think that this is occurring is because lots of times the students taking high school, or the students in high school taking classes for college credit tend to be your more successful students, or they tend to have higher, their academics tend to be a little bit higher. So that could be one reason why they are performing better in the outreach locations. The program would like to increase its retention and graduation rates, though, through the departmental advising. One of the things that we see is when students come in and they're unsure of what they want their major to be, they don't want to say, I'm liberal arts and science, or I'm general studies. They say, I'm business. And then they start taking some of those business classes, and sometimes it's not really what they thought it would be. So then they transfer out. So we're seeing some attrition through them discovering what their true desires are, which we would rather that it's happening here, and they're at least taking those. It's a low-cost way to see what their true interests are and get some exposure to those different areas before they go on and get a four-year degree and say, that's not what I want to do. The department has worked to increase the rigor and consistency within courses. The faculty have worked with the online director, Jamie Durler, to ensure consistency within the department between full-time and part-time instructors. Also, the adjunct in-services have been enhanced to ensure consistent student learner outcomes, program learner outcomes, and essential skill assessments. We would want to continue to monitor and improve upon these processes. A couple of questions that arose from our program review were, why are our on-campus students taking online classes, and how do we track or stay connected with students once they leave from GCC? So the first one, why are students taking online classes that are on campus? We really wanted to know, we're offering more classes now than we ever previously have. However, our class size is decreasing. So some of the questions that came up are our online classes taking away from our face-to-face classes? Are people taking the online classes because it's a scheduling conflict? Is it a timing issue, availability, instructor preferences, convenience issues? So one of the things, or one of our goals that we would like to do is we would like to survey the students and start collecting data based on their feedback on why these things are maybe occurring. And then on the other one, how do we track or connect with students once they leave GCC? Our holy grail, I think, from this was to have an alumni center. I don't know that that's anything that we can just say, yep, we're going to do this. It's not something that's super easy to start up or inexpensive either. I think that that would be maybe a long-term goal eventually, to have something like that to stay connected. But we would like, again, to get feedback from students on what are some small steps that we can take to keep those connections with students once they go on to their future endeavors, once they get out into the workplace. And maybe this can be through exit surveys. One of the other things that came up was maybe having some type of a K-Board tracking report. And I have no idea if that's a realistic item to say, hey, we'd love to have this from the state, but we think we can definitely start small and start getting feedback from the students, because we want to know, how do they want to stay connected and what are they going to engage in? And then I'm hoping you all have a copy of our program review. Do they have copies of it? No. So I should have brought you all kinds of numbers and stuff. I apologize.
It's a new process and we're working through it.
Okay. The what? Lots of facts and figures. But I didn't touch upon those, so I apologize. I can send that on. Okay. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Yep. Okay. All right. Next on our agenda
Next on our agenda is ownership linkage. Does anyone have anything they'd like to share? Okay. We had talked for last meeting or yeah, about the new board member orientation. Jody provided us a link to look at that. Have any of you had a chance to look at it?
I did.
Any thoughts, questions, comments?
Well, I would suggest that we make that available to Mr. Larson since he will be coming on in January, so he can look over it starting immediately.
I looked at it, but I haven't really had time to delve into it.
I think the flow is good. The links are all working, which is always a benefit. One thing that I would say too is, and maybe for some it's not a big deal, but it's pretty user friendly on mobile phone as well as desktop. So, I mean, that comes across the whole website, but I think it's more important now than ever to be able to use it on a mobile phone and access it and not be disoriented or anything like that. So I think it flows nice and easy enough to add to it.
The thing, this is Beth. The thing I liked about it as I first looked at it was that everything is available to you. Whether, you don't have to just wander clear around to find the connections, because you punch on it and there it is. Good job. Thank you.
All right.
Yesterday. Are we planning on any in-person retreats or anything for new members? I know when we came on, Randy met with us and went over a few things.
I think that's a great idea. I hadn't thought about doing it before December, but did you recall, was it after January or was it before?
I think it was before.
The first one was before term started to review COMA and other, nothing really beyond that, just kind of COMA and the basic legal requirements surrounding manifesting.
Of course, I went to the retreat with Lon Fishney for that too, and that was very good, helpful for us.
I think if I remember right, part of our board goals too was with the onboarding, and we kind of pushed off the idea of doing anything until January, or for new members coming on, that January or February there'd be a dedicated board retreat, whether it's with the attorney, whether it's just going over some good advice for onboarding. And I think we made that kind of suggestion that would be the best place to put it. So there's something to think about.
I agree with you. I think December is a busy month. So I'm going to shoot for January, if that's okay with all of you. Okay. Terrific. All right.
Oh, it was in January.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. Good job. All right. I'd like your monthly assessments, this meeting's assessments. So we'll review these at the beginning of next meeting or at the end of next meeting. I am at the bottom of the agenda. Upcoming calendar dates are listed there. Thank you, Jody, for putting that together. Any other items that we need to discuss? Okay, I declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you all for letting me attend.